That's correct, as I did at the committee meeting as well. The first one relates to ARMC 2406-2, the Emerging Issues Report. It's in relation to one of the items in that report, item 22-004. One of the people who has an ownership in the complex that's relevant to that report also happens to own a unit at Donnelly River Village, and we are both on the board of management for that village, and obviously that is represents both a financial interest and just a financial issue, and I will obviously leave for that item. The other one, I'm just trying to remember which one it was. Is it the Yep, so it's ARMC 24065, the overdue debtors report. And again, it's a financial matter, and I will leave that item as well.
Thanks, Councillor Sullivan. Were there any other disclosures of interest in relation to the agenda? No. Councillor Sullivan, if you want to turn your mic off, maybe. Thank you. It's hiding behind there. All right. The agenda contains responses to questions that were taken on notice at the last meeting, Council, on the 12th of June. Before we get into public question time, there's been sort of some notes issued to those people who've submitted questions before time, but just in case there's anyone online, I just want to run through the sort of clarifying the process for public question time. So each member of the public gets 3 minutes to make a statement and or ask questions. A response to the questions asked during the meeting will either be provided at the meeting or taken on notice by the chair. Responses to any questions taken on notice at the meeting will be provided to you via email and included in the following council agenda. If you are unable to ask all of your questions in the time allocated during the meeting, you may submit further questions in writing, and officers will provide a response to those questions administratively via email. And this is for transparency and obviously to ensure a fair and equitable process for members of the public. Okay, so I've got 3 people listed on general items, and then we might bring forward the Chamber MOU item to be our first item so that we can go straight into that one. So first person is Ian Kerr on the TUP just a general item.
Thank you, Mayor. And I did submit these questions in writing beforehand. I've been quite surprised by the lack of awareness in the community of the proposed underground power project. In particular, nobody seems to have heard of it before the agenda of May the 8th. So I ask, when did the City of Fremantle assess community support for underground power in the South Fremantle and City South area? What costs to property owners were indicated in such a consultation, because the cost obviously affects the response you'll get in terms of support, and what were the results of that consultation? More recently, after consideration of initial feedback, the City of Fremantle has determined that, quote, properties that already have an underground connection, brackets green dome, and do not require any works to connect to the new underground supply will not be required to pay this connection service charge. So my question here is, does this also apply to properties such as the Biscuit Factory Village, the Primaries, Arundel Court, and any other developments that have single underground power connections to multiple properties without green domes? Similarly, the City of Fremantle has stated that the network infrastructure service charge will not apply where upgrades to the network distribution infrastructure and power supplies to the property are not required. However, it goes on to state that this service charge is likely to apply to the majority of properties within the project area, but the City recognises that there may be some unique cases where a very small number of properties are not required to pay this charge. I'm not at all sure that the 100 or so properties on South Terrace, including the Biscuit Factory Village, most of Wardy Street and South Terrace south of Duro Road, is a very small number. My questions here are, will these and other similar properties be exempt from the network charge? And when will the city let owners of those properties know? And in both cases, why was the obvious principle that people should not be required to pay a second time for something they've already paid for not acknowledged in the proposed charges set out on 8th of May? In addition, properties along parts of South Terrace and South Street will not receive the full amenity benefit of undergrounding power cables, as high voltage transmission lines will not be placed underground. Western Power, in its guidelines, suggests that local governments may offer lower contributions to street service costs to owners of such property. So I ask, will the City of Fremantle acknowledge this lower level of benefit to properties adjacent to high voltage lines and follow Western Power's suggestion of offering a lower contribution to them? The Local Government Act also provides for exemptions from rates, but not from service charges, for a number of categories of non-rateable properties. So I ask, will the service charges be levied on those non-rateable properties? Thank you.
Thank you, and I assume you and others will be at the TUP information session that's happening here tomorrow night at, I think, 5 p.m. Anyone? 6 p.m. Excellent. We will provide some answers to those questions that we're able to.
Through the chair, so we have been and are continuing to deliver a program of community information about the project. So far, we've advertised in the Herald. We've put out information over our corporate City of Fremantle channels. We do have our information session tomorrow night here at 6 o'clock, which the entire community is welcome to join us on. And we have done letter drops in the project area as well. We have and will continue to consider all feedback that we receive as part of that information we're putting out to the community, all the way leading up to the budget adoption process, which will occur in mid-July. As a result of the feedback we have already received, and to ensure that we have adequate data from Western Power, we will only be charging the network infrastructure charge in 24-25, and the network connection charge, or the property connection charge, will only come in 25-26. The advice we've received from Western Power, and I quote, is that generally property owners with an existing underground consumer main green dome will only be charged for the network services component, which is the network infrastructure charge, and will not have to pay the property connection service charge. We'll be asking Western Power to verify which properties have the green dome over the next 6 months, that we can ensure that people who already have a property connection won't be charged in 25-26.
Thank you. Thank you.
While we recognise that there are some unique cases with a small number of properties that may not require network infrastructure upgrades, until we're directly advised by Western Power that that is the case for a specific property, all rateable properties within the project area will be subject to the network infrastructure charge.
Thank you. And I would note this is not dissimilar to discussions we had in Hilton that were all resolved during the project timeline. Okay, another general question, Elizabeth Megros.
Good evening, everyone. On the topic of heavy lifting being a tourist destination, given that your answers refer to the city's investment and development program to attract visitors and support business, while in fact my question referred to the specific comments made by the mayor in an ABC radio interview in relation to the heavy lifting Frio does because it's a tourist destination. Explain. What is meant by heavy lifting? What is the financial return to the city from being a tourist destination? How many people are employed to solely support your stated increased activity, management, and compliance requirements of high rates of tourism visitation to Fremantle? And what are their job descriptions? What is the total cost of the city's investment and development program to attract visitors? Is Fremantle a visitor destination because of or despite the city's investment and development program in tourism? On the topic of Victoria Hall, given your talk about entities, I specifically requested not to be included in your answer. And my question asked what the city, as the custodian and manager of this community resource, did to promote the venue to community as such. I ask again, what did the council or the city do to make Victoria Hall an available resource to the community, and how was it promoted? Given that the Fremantle Theatre Company took over seamlessly the Piers from Space Market in 21, explain what the arrangement was and how it was arrived at. How was the community involved in this process? On the topic of fossil fuel advertising and sponsorship, where in Fremantle specifically does fossil fuel advertising and sponsorship occur currently, and where did it occur in the past? And lastly, the people who usually sit on the sides here on their laptops, what is their function? Thank you.
Thanks, Elizabeth. If you can hand those up to the agendas and minutes, I'll take those now. No, I'd like to take them now in terms of answering them for you now. So if you could hand them up, that'd be great. Thanks. So the first question, I think, was about the quantifiable value of being a tourist destination. That's economic modelling that I don't think we're going to be able to respond to in any detail. And I would take it as somewhat rhetorical, I think. But what do we mean by heavy lifting? We mean that we provide extra services, things like buses to pick people up from cruise ships, a visitor centre, wayfinding signage. I could go on for hours about all the extra things that we do because we are a tourist destination. How many people are employed solely to support your increased activity? I think you're asking how many people work in our economic development or destination marketing team. I'm going to refer that to the Director of Economic Development to give me an estimate on that in a minute. But I would say that there are a number of people whose jobs would overlap with that activity as well. City's investment and development program to attract visitors. You'll find that in the budget under the destination marketing line item. Is Fremantle a visitor destination because or despite the city's investment and development program in tourism? I'm going to say that's rhetorical. I don't think we can answer that. Victoria Hall, we've answered that question. Fossil fuel advertising, that will come to council for a discussion. It's going out for public advertising, and that will give us great feedback from the community. And a number of officers do attend meetings and sit at the side, so they can either listen to the debate to be able to do their jobs, or provide input if they have a particular item coming to council. Thank you for your detailed interest in what our staff do, but I would say most of those answers can be found in the budget. Mr. Hammond, are you able to provide a sort of estimate of the number of people who would work in destination marketing? This says solely to support tourism visitation to Fremantle, so perhaps solely.
Through the chair, I guess while most of the organisation actually contributes towards the management of Fremantle as a tourism destination, specifically regarding tourism development and marketing, there's probably the equivalent of 4 to 5 people working on that.
Can I just clarify that when you say most of the organisation supports that, that would include things like footpath teams doing footpaths? Yep. Excellent. All right, so they have been answered, so we can give those back if we want to. Thanks. All right, John Dowson on the corporate business plan item, I believe. Did you want to ask that now?
Thank you. John Dowson, Fremantle Society. Our main focus, of course, is on heritage and our concerns about what Fremantle Council's doing with our heritage, particularly at Fremantle Oval, the actual processes and the propositions there. But tonight we ask these following questions on finances. The Fremantle Society is deeply concerned about the financial deficiencies in item Corporate Business Plan 2024 to 28 due to the total absence of forecast financial information in the plan. Why is there no transparent budget and estimated forecast financial information presented in that plan? Number two, the asset management strategy section in the plan refers to the uniqueness of Fremantle's large historical asset base, which requires vigilance to ensure a great experience for visitors and our community. However, there is a total absence of financial information on budgeted amounts to protect the city's built heritage through conservation works and maintenance of the city's heritage inventory and heritage list. How much is budgeted in the 2024 to 2028 across those heritage areas? Three, given the overall lack of capital expenditure across the city to renew existing assets in the past few years and the high depreciation rates, what are the overall forecast asset sustainability ratios in the 2024 to 2028 plan? 3 questions to go. 4 questions. 4, the previous corporate business plan 2019 to 23 contained detailed financial information by project area. Why was the approach changed to not be financially transparent to ratepayers across forecast project areas for the 2024-2028 plan? 5, why is the 2024-2028 plan not compliant with DLG SCIPR framework and guidelines? 6, was the consultant engaged to prepare the corporate business plan, and how much were they paid? Last question. During the last mayoral election, the Fremantle Herald ran a front page story about the fact that the community was not allowed to attend the audit and risk committees meetings. Mayoral candidate Adele Carles said that council was being too secret, and ex-CEO Stuart Wern of East Fremantle agreed, stating that all council meetings were required by law to be open to the public. It is relevant to note that the Fremantle Society's frustrations at getting clear and accurate answers on financial matters, along with others, have been despite the questions being professionally written by a Fremantle Society committee member. In fact, by the accountant currently hired by the Council of Netherlands to sort out their finances. So the question...
The CEO is happy to take the questions that you've asked.
So you've got... Can I read the question, or is the question is the last sentence? The question was, given the ongoing controversy surrounding Fremantle Council finances, why does the ban still exist?
Through the chair, we'll start with the last question. The Audit and Risk Committee is a committee that doesn't have any delegation under the Local Government Act to make decisions. All items that go through that committee have to come through to council. Under the Local Government Act, if there is no delegation to a committee, it does not have to be open to the public. I think I might just go to the first one as well and maybe leave the others for Mr. Hammond. The city is in the process of transitioning to a new corporate business plan that closely aligns with our new community strategic plan that's recently been adopted by council. We're in the process of changing how we put that together and review the items within that and report back to council. At this stage, it reflects the projects that are in the forward budgets to be undertaken. It does not reflect financial implications at the moment, and we'll continually assess how we best do that as we move forward.
Through the chair, just to add to that, the DTLSC guideline is exactly that. It's just a guideline. It's not not a measure of compliance. And with regards to financial information, that's included in the annual budget. Yeah, we did not use a consultant to develop the corporate plan either.
Good, thank you. All right, so what I might do is just quickly go through the procedural bits of the next bits of the agenda so we can get to the chamber MOU, because I know Mr. Jebba has to go. So I haven't been told there are any petitions, deputations or presentations, so I'll move that we confirm the minutes of the last meeting of council. Okay, the seconder from Councillor Williamson Wong. All those in favour? And that's unanimous. And is there any elected member communication? Nope. All right, so if we can bring forward that item, I'll get Mr. Jebba as the president of the chamber to speak to us, and then if you've got any questions, we can go to those.
Thank you. Good evening all. For those who don't know me, my name is Ivan Jebba. I'm the president of Fremantle Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to address you tonight regarding the MOU, which is in front of you. The Fremantle Chamber of Commerce plays a vital role in the economic development and prosperity of the Fremantle community. As the biggest representative body for local businesses, the Chamber serves as a unified voice, advocating for the interest of its members. Its significance is the ability to foster a thriving business environment through various initiatives, programs, and services that support the growth and sustainability in Fremantle and the wider region. The support through this MOU is imperative for the Chamber to carry out its mission effectively. It would allow the Chamber to expand on its initiatives and provide valuable resources to local businesses. Without adequate and well-managed funding, the Chamber capacity to support and advocate for its members would be limited, hindering its ability to drive economic growth and create a positive business environment for Fremantle and its region. This MOU plays a crucial role in promoting collaboration between Fremantle Chamber of Commerce and City of Fremantle. This collaboration is essential for fostering a sense of community among local businesses and promoting culture of cooperation and mutual support. Having a strong relationship with the City of Fremantle is essential for the Chamber to effectively advocate for policies and initiatives that support economic development, job creation, and sustainable growth in the region. The Chamber plays a critical role in promoting innovation and economic development in the local community by offering programs, workshops, and events that support businesses, development, and upskilling of the local workforce, thus helping them to adapt to ever-changing market conditions. With this MOU, City not only is supporting the local businesses, but also contributing to the overall well-being and success of the Fremantle community at large. A lot of initiatives and programs delivered by the Chamber are business development orientated and tailored to a particular business sector that may need additional support. Now, this brings me to amendment proposed by Councillor Lola. The Councillor Lola's amendment under point number 8, in my opinion, would water down the targeted impact that the Chamber has and it's trying to achieve. The Chamber is a membership organisation who, believe me, is not sitting on lots of money. Our profits are minimal. We have an ageing heritage building we're trying to maintain and keep up. We often depend on grant funding and support of local government and the businesses. Opening this to the broad ratepayer community under this MOU and making every resident a member for a particular event that's attached to this MOU or working with the MOU would diminish the benefits, impact, and efficiency we're trying to achieve here. A good example of this is a recently completed series of workshops delivered to the hospitality sector. Sorry, I'll be just 30 more seconds. All workshops were overbooked within days. It was a workshop on mental health in hospitality, which is a major concern. It has one of the highest rates of mental health issues and self-harm. We're also about to deliver job-ready programs in partnership with the City of Fremantle and funded by TWA. This is targeted at upskilling the local workforce, and you can easily also search on internet and see that we always acknowledge and pay all the respects to the City of Fremantle in any collaborative approach, any collaborative program that we do. I'm just going to come to the end. I would ask if that amendment number 8 would be removed in its entirety for the ease of execution of the future events and benefiting the entire community and workability of this MOU. I would like to use the opportunity just to thank everyone here, the Mayor, Hannah Pizzarding, the CEO, Glenn Dougal, Matt, Amy, and the entire team, all the other directors and the councillors for all your support previous years. And I look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you. If you have any questions, feel free.
Thanks, Ivan. Elected members, councillors, did you have any questions for Ivan? Yeah, Councillor Lawver. Sorry.
Just to encapsulate, so you're fine with points 4 and 7 of the proposed amendment, just point 8 that you have a little bit of concern with. Is that correct?
Points 4 and 7? Look, there's no issues with those. They're just basically, I think you're referencing the CBD. The reference was to CBD. We're referencing the entire commercial properties in the Fremantle. In our strategic direction and our strategic plan, we have moved away and moved on from years ago where we actually were all about CBD and Fremantle as a small city. We now have members that are from Hilton, O'Connor, and a wider region that we deliver these programs to. And we no longer can. You cannot have a sustainable and developing city unless you actually involve everyone.
Thanks. Councillor Williamson-Wong. Oh, there you go.
Thank you.
Bingo. Snap. Something. Yeah, one more.
And I guess that was kind of the reason for point 8, because it is a significant increase that's being proposed, and I think the Chamber does good work. I think you guys are fabulous. This is not a critique on how you guys support the business community, but I kind of saw it as a way to
Is
invite.
this a question, Councillor Lawver? Because it would be good to get to it.
Yeah, because a question, I guess, I'll get right to it then, is what does the Chamber do to encourage people who aren't members to participate and to learn about the good work that you do and potentially become members? So what kind of work do you do around that?
So how do we actually, well, we have a very strong marketing arm of the Chamber of Commerce. We have our events, and obviously our events are advertised online. So if you, for argument's sake, have a business in O'Connor, you're always welcome to pick up a phone, come as a non-member, see what's alike, eventually decide to join as a member and receive all the benefits from that. Everyone is welcome. There's no, from any region, people can come in. But yeah, and we have a membership officer who also does all the work and goes out and tries to reach to those potential members in different sectors.
Great. Thank you. All right, well, we'll go into the debate and hopefully we can get through it in a reasonable amount of time. All right, so if somebody would like to move the officer's recommendation that's up there on the screen, Councillor Archibald, and seconded by Councillor Kamada. Does anyone want to speak on the officer's recommendation? Councillor Moughlin.
Yep, thank you. And thank you to the President of the Chamber, Ivan, for taking the time and coming and talking to us. And I just wanted to speak to this item in general because, you know, what I have seen over the almost 5 years that I've been on council is that the relationship between the city and the Chamber has become far more collaborative than what it has been, what it was when I first started. And particularly there was a lot of duplication that was occurring in misalignment, and the benefit of this MOU is ensuring that the city and the Chamber are working together for a collective good for the city of Fremantle. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the outcomes continuing to be delivered for both the business community and the community in general.
Thanks, Councillor Moughlin. Councillor Lawver.
I just suppose, can I just move my proposed amendment and we can get that out of the way?
Are you wanting to move it in
We can vote on it
Perhaps
in
two
sections.
parts?
Yeah, we can vote on it in sections.
Yeah,
fine with that.
I'm just wondering if it would be sensible to move 4 and 7.
And well, we move it.
And
We can vote on them separately, if that's all right.
yeah, okay. I just thought the debate might be tidier. Yep. All right. All right. So you'd like to move all 3 of those? And do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Lang? All right. Councillor Oliver.
Yeah. Again, I just want to reiterate this is not meant to be any disparaging in any way about the great work that the chamber does and the collaboration with the city. Obviously, the first 2 points are just to have that be expanded beyond being a CBD focus. And the last point there, I mean, we're always looking for money for things in this chamber, and we're being asked to significantly increase by nearly 50% our previous support. And I'm not necessarily against that, but I feel like if we're going to be spending ratepayer money on supporting the chamber, then maybe people who are thinking about starting a business or people that are in our community that may want to do some networking with other business people, that the events that this MOU supports, that they're able to attend those as if they were a member of the chamber. And then hopefully their membership officer can recruit them on as a full-time member and join their organization. So to me, it's pretty straightforward. I think it's intended to be very, very positive. It's a way for us to have some accountability to our ratepayers that we're spending their money, and if they so choose, and they can go and learn more about the good work that the chamber does, and like I said, ideally, potentially join up in the organization. So,
Thanks. Councillor Lang? The seconder? Okay. Did anyone? Yep. Councillor Kamada.
Yeah, just on that point, while I understand the intent of what Councillor Law is saying, I mean, would that apply to other clubs and associations in the Fremantle area that we put money towards in the form of sponsorship? So yeah, it's a bit of a grey area for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Kamada. Councillor Williamson-Wong.
Thank you. I guess echoing Councillor Kamada's point, agreeing with Councillor Kamada's point, and also I think, we are spending ratepayer money on this. Sure, we're allocating money towards this, but I would see that more as responding to ratepayer feedback that the city needed revitalisation or that businesses needed support, and it feels, as it's proposed, that it would be a big task for the Chamber of Commerce to have to advertise with language to let all ratepayers in Fremantle know that they're welcome if they're a business and they're interested, then they can easily become members. And I guess as an organisation, the Chamber relies on that income. So yeah, I'm not sure that I'll be supporting number 8.
Councillor Mofflin.
Thank you. I'll just start with a question in regards to the proposed change to 7, because I feel the intent has changed, or the intent is changed somewhat by including the word support of the Fremantle business community, and the original was around revitalisation of the CBD. So I would, and picking up on Councillor Lawver's point that this is about, his intent is particularly around the inclusivity of all of Fremantle. That maybe it is more so about the vibrancy of Fremantle rather than just support of the Fremantle business community. So I'll maybe just put that one out there as a comment because I think part of the reason we have this MOU is to work with the Chamber to make Fremantle a better place, and it's not just about support of the Fremantle business community as such. And I share the sentiment in regards to point 8 as well, that I'm sure we sponsor many, or rather we do sponsor many organisations, and we do not require any of those to open those events up to other people, and certainly encourage them to develop a financially sustainable model, which includes a good membership base. So I don't think, or rather I won't be supporting 8.
Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you. Yeah, a question in relation to 4 relates to the definitions of the the terminologies that are in there. So the differential, special purpose, or special area rates is not the same thing as the commercial rates and industrial rates. So can I have a little bit of clarification? Because it was, I guess, my reading of what it says is it's those rates that are specifically applied to the CBD, and so that was the purpose of Part 4. It wasn't related to the fact that we have a commercial rate in the dollar that is different to residential, or that we have a industrial rate in the dollar that is different to residential.
Yeah, I might just ask some director comment on that.
Through the chair, while the commercial and city centre commercial differential rates are the same, so there's no difference between the two, the intent of 4 was in reference to properties relating to that city centre rate specifically.
Sorry, and that kind of flowed from the fact that those rates were different previously. That it just happens to be that right now we've aligned them, but that doesn't mean we will in future.
Did you wish to speak further, Councillor Sullivan? You can hold your right to. Councillors, I mean, so I'm not convinced on supporting any of the amendments that are being put forward based on partially on the discussion here. I mean, certainly 8 to me does not make any sense at all, because quite honestly, if you're a ratepayer in Fremantle, why would you become a member of the chamber if you can go along as if you are a member? So it fundamentally undermines the economic viability of the chamber, which seems really odd to me. So, and it's a very sort of weird precedent for every other membership organisation who charges member and non-member rates for a reason, because you've got to incentivise people to become members. So certainly wouldn't be supporting that one. Councillor Sullivan, it's a good point about this. It's not that there's anything focusing the efforts of the chamber on the CBD through making this point. It's that those are the potential levers that we might be moving that only really apply to the CBD. So that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And yeah, the wording in 7, I'm not quite sure. To engage the local business sector in support of the Fremantle business community, I can't quite work out what that action looks like. It's, I think it was probably in there, and I might frame this as a question, to allude to programs like the Christmas Windows program that we do that are part of activations in that do focus on the CBD in a sort of more of an event sense. So can I ask if that's what that sort of headline was for?
Through the chair, so whilst the chamber is more broadly focused across the greater area of Fremantle, the CBD does need additional attention to activate it and additional resources and efforts, and at time that requires a focus specifically on the CBD to do that. And the intent of number 7 was certainly to make sure that when we're working together with the chamber in collaboration, that we're not duplicating efforts in the CBD to achieve that, and that we're working together on it.
Mm. And I mean, I think a quick history lesson on that is that in the past, duplication was a problem, and it was something that caused probably more friction than was necessary between the chamber and the businesses and the city, and so specifically alluding to removing that duplication is probably a good thing. So I'm not sure I'll support any of the amendments, but while I'm talking, I guess there's just a couple of things I would respond to more broadly, which are things, I mean, examples of the kind of collaboration that we do have that go well beyond the CBD. So why I don't think any of the amendments are necessary. Things like our strategic community plan raised some issues around how inclusive are businesses for people who are LGBTQIA+ or queer. And there were examples people gave from right here in the city centre all the way out to the suburbs of businesses where they'd felt really uncomfortable. We spoke to the Chamber about it. The Chamber has now designed a program that's rolling out later on this year to help businesses become more rainbow friendly. And that's for businesses everywhere. So that's the kind of partnership and collaboration we're doing. And I am seeing, I think, even in forming up the economic development strategy and in that working group, the conversations we're having are how can we use the Chamber's membership base to get to those harder to reach areas like O'Connor, where it is a little bit more difficult for us to engage with the businesses out there. So I think I see all that collaboration happening anyway. So it doesn't really need, in my view, an amendment to do any of that. Councillor Archibald.
Thank you. I think a good number of the bits of question I had may have been answered. I was just following up a little from Councillor Moughlin's comment about part 7, but just reading through the objectives 1 through to 7, they are inclusive of the whole of the Fremantle area in general, except for 1 or 2, 7 being one and 4 being the other. So only those 2 are referencing the CBD. The others are talking more generally. I mean, when Councillor Moughlin was making the comment, I had some kind of inkling that perhaps it was a useful thing, but could I just ask if part 7, given that it's here saying specifically the CBD, was this the intent of this section to provide collaboration for future functions and events and program, alleviate duplication of programs, that was specifically intended as an objective just for the CBD? Could I just get that clarified? Thanks.
Through the chair, yes, it was intended that a focus on the CBD. Yeah, that's as it's written. Yep.
So just based on that, it would seem that apart from 7 and 4, the others are referencing a broader approach to the city. So I kind of feel, based on that I'm quite happy with what's actually written rather than the amendments on that basis. Yeah, thanks.
Councillor Van Dawson.
Thank you. Firstly, I just want to thank the President and the Chamber for coming tonight. It was great to hear your presentation and in support of this item, and you did address the questions I had in your presentation, so thank you for that. I agree with, in particular, what Mayor Fitzhardinge has said, the Chair said tonight in relation to this item. Yeah, I'm really concerned, particularly item 8, opening that up. That would undermine the financial viability of the Chamber. Just what's the point of being a member if you can go to all their functions? Yeah, and I'm very comfortable that the Chamber do support local businesses broadly across Fremantle, and we don't need to change any wording in the 4 and 7 either. I'm happy with as proposed in the agenda, and so I won't be supporting any of the amendments tonight. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Van Dawson. Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you. And it's partly a question, but I'll make it a statement and then maybe seek officer clarification as well. In relation to 7, my sense of that item is it is very much partly a legacy statement that exists from the period of time around about 2012 where the economic development strategy, the corporate plan, the retail model plan were all coming together, and there was a need for very strong and very joint and aligned advocacy of all of those plans, Amendment 49 and the other planning amendments and the like. And that's exactly what occurred in the subsequent years, where there were numerous high-profile events for politicians and developers and the development industry alike to attend that were jointly run by the city and the Chamber. And they were instrumental in changing, turning to 180 degrees the perception of Fremantle as a place to invest in, as a place to do developments, and as a place that was open for business. Now that need hasn't died away. It's just that we're in the process right now, I guess, of renewing the strategies that will drive that, and I think the city plan will be one of those. So I see that there will still be an ongoing need to do exactly what is said in this, even if it is a legacy item. I don't disagree with Councillor Lorva's, I guess, suggestions that the chamber and the city shouldn't lose sight about the other things. And I've made these exact same statements when we talk about the city plan, as to that we also need to focus on the town centres, the McCabe Street precinct, and those other really, Heart of Beaconsfield, those other really critical areas that are outside of the city centre. But they're not necessarily ones that we would seek or need necessarily the joint advocacy of the Chamber of Commerce and the City of Fremantle. They're probably much more our business to get on with rather than joint business. And that is because of the particular nexus between redevelopment of the city centre and how business does, how business thrives or can thrive in the city centre. So there is that really strong nexus in the city centre issue where there perhaps isn't that same nexus or same degree of nexus in those other areas that I just mentioned. So that is why it's there as a specific CBD aligned request, but it doesn't discount, as I said, that these other things do need to happen. So I won't support the way they're written, but in any of them. But I do still commend Councillor Lorva for raising that we do have to have a focus on the whole of Fremantle, not just the CBD.
Thanks, Councillor Sullivan. If there are no others, I'll go to Councillor Lorva to close.
Great. Well, thanks everyone, and yeah, that really was just trying to see what we could do to get just a more broader approach on this. And if this isn't the way to do it, I'm sure we'll have many more conversations in the future about how we can. But just to address a couple of points is that we do support our businesses here in Fremantle much further beyond just this MOU. I think we've just embarked on the largest ever ad campaign to try to bring people into Fremantle. We do activations all the time. We do a lot to support the business community. So this is just one aspect of our support. So I don't want to necessarily think that this is the end all and be all for what we do. So addressing the advertising component of Part 8, it wasn't intended to be advertised to everybody in Fremantle, but just when you let people know about what those events are, just having that included in what is already done. So it wouldn't be that much more of a burden. And also for the events, only events covered by this MOU. So the Chamber could do events that, and I'm sure that they do, outside of what is covered in this MOU. That could just be specific for members only, or however they want to word that. But the intention was, if there was an event where, like I said, somebody who's thinking about maybe starting a business or wanted to go and network with other business folks, this would give them a pathway into becoming a member. And as far as a precedent goes, I mean, we're extending our rates. We have a rates policy, and it's capped at $12,000, and we're being asked to go above that for this organization, which, again, that's one thing there. Plus, it's these other community groups. We also don't support them in the ways that we support our business community as well. So it's not; those are one-off contributions. And I would argue that, we had quite a debate about how we were going to spend around $50,000 with a broad range of community groups, and here we are signing off that amount each year for one organization. So I felt these things were pretty reasonable to do, considering how much we were being asked to do and how much we're asking our ratepayers to do. But I hear what everyone's saying. So the last thing I'll just add is that points 4 and 7 wouldn't exclude the CBD in any way, shape, or form. It wasn't meant to say that we can't do anything there. It was just again acknowledging that. But like I said, if these don't get approved tonight, we'll move on. I'm sure we'll have many more discussions about how we can improve our businesses here in Fremantle and support great events.
Thanks. All right, so I'll put these to a vote one by one. So we'll start with part 4 on the screen. All those in favour? Councillor Lorber, and against? Remainder. I'll go to 7. All those in favour? Councillor Lorber, and against? Remainder. And section 8. All those for and against. So all of those are lost. So we'll go back to the item as amended. Did anyone, as not amended, in fact, did anyone wish to speak further on the item? Pretty sure everyone did, more or less, item as unamended. All right, so we'll put the item as unamended to a vote. All good? I'm hearing little whispers over here. All right, all those in favour? And that looks to be unanimous. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for coming in. All right, let us go back to the agenda order. So we're going to Ellen Street for the planning item. Thanks for your patience, Chloe. Right, let me just find this. We'll bring that up on the screen now. Excellent. So, officer's recommendation for approval. We don't have any other alternatives or amendments. So, would somebody like to move this one? Councillor Moughlin, seconder for this one. Councillor Williamson Wong. Any debate? Okay, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Right. And so all right. So we're going to the corporate plan now. So a mover for the corporate plan, Councillor Williamson Wong, seconded by Councillor Archibald. And we've got an amendment, proposed amendment here from Councillor Williamson Wong. So was there anything on the corporate plan before we go to the amendment? I probably just wanted to say something that I said in briefing, which was I'm really impressed that we've moved so quickly towards the corporate business plan following the finalisation of the strategic community plan. And part of me, the reason I'm impressed is because I believe in better done than perfect. And I think it's much better that we're starting to work to this framework, but I don't think we should look at this and think this is the perfect corporate business plan, because I think what the organisation's doing is using it as an iterative process through this plan, through the budget, and how that rolls through the organisation over time. So I probably, I think it's fair to say that these documents should live in the organisation, and I think it will. But yeah, I was amazed that we were able to do this so quickly. So it's actually great news coming off the back of the strategic community plan and getting into the budget. Councillor Williamson Wong.
May I move my amendment, please?
Oh, so the amendment is on the screen. Do we have a seconder for the amendment? Yep, Councillor Archibald. I think you've got your hand up first. Councillor Williamson Wong.
Great, thank you. And yeah, I guess this is just following on from the strategic plan conversations that we had. And the first one is just I think just a typo that happened when we transferred, because I'd put that amendment up for the strategic plan to include the causes and effects of climate change. And the second point of the amendment is to include that additional dot point, because it felt like we'd committed to an outcome of having an empowered and educated community that was seeking to act on climate, but we weren't clear on how we were going to deliver that. And so to ensure that we kind of covered our bases and there was, I guess, a clear service that linked to that outcome, I've just suggested that we continue investigating the opportunities, which I know that staff are already undertaking. Yeah.
Excellent. Councillor Archibald, as seconder, did you wish to speak on it? we have any further speakers on it? Right, sounds fairly straightforward. Should we put the amendment to a vote? All those in favour? And that's unanimous. And back to the item as amended. Any further comments? All right, we'll put that to a vote. All those in... Oh, Councillor Archibald, just in time.
Sorry, I just thought, as you did say, that it's great that the staff pulled this together very quickly following our strategic community plan. But I just like the freshness of this particular report. I think it is something that people will very easily read, and it's got some very great things going on in it. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that it's a bit of a shift in the way we're presenting, and I really applaud the work that's gone into it and think it's a great way to take it. Thanks.
Excellent. And all that without the use of consultants. Amazing. All right, so we'll put the item as amended to a vote. All those in favour? And that's unanimous. Thank you. That brings us to the meeting structure trial. So get someone to move the officer's recommendation, which is coming up to the screen. Councillor Lorber, seconder for the officer recommendation. Anyone, really? Councillor Moughlin got there. Okay. Councillor Lorber, did you want to open on this?
Yeah, just start with just moving the amendment for the 3 months, if that's all right with everybody. If I get a seconder.
Seconded by Councillor Kamada.
And the reasons for this, I think, are pretty well known. It's just I think we can get to a spot within 3 months as to how we're going to continue forward and not have to wait another 6 months. So.
Yeah, all good. Councillor Kamada, did you want to?
Yeah, simply that I support exactly what you're saying. So.
Can I just had a question about publishing the meeting dates. Do we, or the schedule of meetings? Is there anything that compels us to provide a certain amount of kind of forward dates for meetings? Like, is it okay just to do 3 months? I'm getting the nod from the manager of governance. So yes, it's okay. Good. All right. Anything further on the amendment? Councillor Moughlin.
Yeah, question to staff. So, yeah, the dates of 31st of December were put in there originally. I would just like to understand what officers were hoping to achieve over that 6-month period and whether that is possible to be done prior to the 30th of September.
Through the chair, literally we were just bumping our advertising of meetings to Christmas time, and intention was always to try and get back before October anyway.
Good eye. All right. So can I put the amendment to? Oh no, Councillor Sullivan.
Yeah, just another point of clarity from a question for the staff. If the approval goes to the 30th of September, does that presumably mean we have to resolve any changes between, well, probably a month before that date, so that there's sufficient time to advertise new meeting dates and new committee dates if we actually have committees? What sort of period of time does it mean we have to resolve it by last meeting in August? Or
Through the chair, so the Act requires us to pre-advertise when our meeting schedule is. I guess it's more on us to try and decide how much of forward notice we want to give our ratepayers before we do that. Yep. So it will make it tight if we make the decision in September. Yes.
Councillor Archibald.
Yes, I'm just trying to think of a middle road here. That given that 3 months does seem to be a little short, doesn't give us the lead time we need. 6 months takes us to the end of the year. I mean, if we could say that a report be brought back, say in November, then we can still run till November, have a report in November, decide what we're doing, and then it sets the agenda for the next 12 months. I'm aware that the December meetings are usually fairly light on, and then we don't meet in January. So, 3 months is too short. Then What if we ask for a report, say, by November?
Through the chair. So the amendment is actually just changing the advertising of the current system, yeah? We can have a chat about this tomorrow and change our minds tomorrow. Or we can do it in September and change our minds in September or not change our minds. This is about advertising the schedule moving forward. So for us, the reason we went to the end of the year, because it did give us enough time to have the conversation, make a decision, set it in play and move forward. It's up to council, whether they want to have a quick discussion and make a decision early, or have a later one and make a decision a bit later, or can not change anything at some point. So all this was doing was extending, under the Act, we're required to pre-advertise our meeting schedule, and that's what this was really, just to kick the can along the road, to give us a little bit more time to have that conversation.
Councillor Moughlin.
Yeah, and so just to clarify a question. So if we did find ourselves at 30th of September and we hadn't resolved or got to a position that was going to then be presented, the position could be to just re-advertise for another 3 months at the same schedule.
Through the chair, yes, correct.
I mean, I'm pretty comfortable supporting the amendment to go to 30 September on the basis that I have a sense of, we were doing a trial of this, and I think I have a sense of how I think the trial has gone. Won't share it here, but we've got the new, we've been using the new meeting procedures. We've got a sense of how they're working, and I think officers have come up with, I guess, their thoughts ready to present to us about what the different options might look like. So I'm personally kind of happy to just have this 3-month period in which to make a bit of a decision, and if we're unable to, as Councillor Moughlin points out, we can easily extend it by another 3 months. So I'm happy to support the amendment. Any further on the amendment? No. All right, I'll put the amendment. All those in favour? And that looks unanimous. Gosh. So back to the item as amended. Anything further on the item as amended? All right, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? And that's unanimous. Cool. All right. All right, I'm just going to see if there's a few that I could potentially pull out here. I know we're going to want to speak on the fossil fuels one. So did anyone want to speak on C240615? On ARMC 24061? Okay, on ARMC 3? No, 4? C240617? No. Oh yeah, I want to get the working group chairs to give us an update here. All right, and the statutory reports, did anyone wish to speak on them? 18? Cool. Okay, so I am going to move on block. Just going to compare notes here with Glenn. 15, see item 15, delegated authority. Not 16. Frank, was it 1, ARMC 1 you want to speak to? Which one? Yeah, I know 2 and 5 have to come out, but which was the one, ARMC 1? It was 1. So ARMC 3 and 4 on block. And then C19 and 20. So that's 5 items for those playing at home. So we'll move those on block, seconded by Councillor, I'll move them, seconded by Councillor Sullivan. All those in favour? And that's unanimous. Excellent. All right, let's go back to the agenda order. So the fossil fuels advertising and sponsorships. Councillor Lang, did you want to move that? And a second of that, Councillor Williamson Wong. All right, over to you.
I don't really have a lot to say on it at the moment. It's still quite preliminary, but the main thing I did want to say actually was thanks to my colleagues for backing this in a while back. We did stick our neck on the chopping block
a little bit from a national perspective with this motion, and of course the staff for taking all the emails that I've been sending them from all the people around Australia who've been sending me updates on what other local governments are doing. So thanks for putting it together, and let's get it out for advertising and see what our community think.
Thanks, Councillor Williams-Wong.
Thank you. Yeah, echoing Councillor Lang, thanks to everyone who's put it together. I am very excited to see what comes back after, through the advertising period. I think, generally speaking, there's a lot of conversation and appetite in our community to take action on climate change, and this feels like a supporting policy for that. So I look forward to the submissions we get.
Thank you, councillors. Any further? Councillor Kamada?
Okay. Look, it's something I do want to talk about, obviously. Thank you, Mayor Fitzharding, for the opportunity. I know this is going out for public comment, and I'm very interested too, to see what comes back. But I have a slightly different take on how this could be approached. And I'm hoping that what I'm about to say is just a catalyst for the discussion, because you've got to hear both sides of the argument, obviously. And like everyone in this chamber, I support a clean transition, to a world without pollution. Here we are at the grassroots of democracy, and I believe that people have a right to bring anything forward into this chamber. And so I don't subscribe to the theory that this is not a local government issue, and that we should be leaving it to higher forms of government. Quite to the contrary, I welcome the debate, and I believe that it's a very obviously serious issue that we should all be working on together. However, I'm not sure that implementing this policy will achieve the desired outcome. In fact, I think it could be problematic for the city. It's great to have aspirations and goals. These are clearly defined in our net zero position, the sustainability policy, and the 2019 climate change, action on climate change policy that we have, emergency. People know what the city stands for. And it was, this also relates to the amendment that Councillor Williamson-Wong has put into the corporate plan. It's an ongoing work in progress. So how will this policy make a difference? How will it help our city? We'll see. We'll see what comes back in the feedback. I'd prefer to see a policy that offers solutions and sets positive examples. We should be highlighting companies that display values and practices that align with our city's position, companies that demonstrate clearly that they are transitioning their operations towards clean, renewable energy, and that their values should also reflect what the city sees as being the important values that we should all be aspiring to. And I think that we should also be reflecting this in our city operations. I look at great initiatives like electrifying the valley. A fantastic initiative. I go along to the meetings. They offer solutions, and they also address the serious issues that are involved. There's a lot of challenges that need to be ticked off on before we can get to a position where we have totally moved away from fossil fuels. Energy companies should also be playing their part, along with the community and government, in the education process, ensuring that we are identifying strategies to reduce our carbon footprint, whether it be an individual or at the corporate level. My writing is not the best. I've been taking notes as I go. They need to lead the way on investment in renewable energy and carbon reduction technology. In my view, clubs and their supporters, which can be affected in this situation, should be left to make their own decisions on these matters. And page 49, it finishes off in the report saying that an increasing number of organisations are reviewing or refusing sponsorship from such companies. They're big enough and ugly enough to make their own decisions on these matters. If anything, perhaps energy companies should be paying more money into the community in education and transition, because they, along with many others, are benefiting from the use of a natural resource that we rely on as we work towards achieving our clean, renewable objectives. So I understand it's going out for public advertising, and yeah, I'm really keen to see what happens as well. But as I said, I have a slightly different take. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Kamada. Councillor Sullivan.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks, Councillor Kamada, because you actually expressed a number of, my reservations. I don't have any reservation at all that this council is promoting the community cause to try and phase out fossil fuels and leading a community to say we need to speak to anybody that is taking advertising from fossil fuel businesses, and we need to encourage them to stop doing that and find alternatives. But there will always be a point in my mind where there is a potential for us to do things which, basically cut our nose off to spite our face. And a scenario I can think of, in a sense, is that we have numerous strategies and policies of this council. We're not just focused on phasing out fossil fuels, albeit that is a very important part of what we do. But we are also focused on cultural matters, on sporting matters, on community involvement, on women in sport, on equity in terms of people being able to participate, on cultural values. So we have a whole range, a whole suite of strategies and priorities that we're trying to deliver. And if one of those conflicts with another one, to the point where we lose massive opportunities, then we will have to, pay serious attention to that. The other thing I agree with Councillor Kamada is that, as a member of a club that does take fossil fuel sponsorship, I know a lot of people have been putting untold pressure on that club to stop it and to find a different way. And there's quite clearly, I think, growing pressure from community for those types of clubs to get with the program. Shouldn't have used that word in relation to that club. Sorry. I think, as Councillor Kamada said, I think that's probably sufficient. And the fact that we talk about it and that we get press about it and that the community talks about it is just absolutely the best part of what's come forward with this notice of motion and with the response to it. Excuse me. So I'll let it go out to the community, but I'll wait and see what the response is. And I do have a little bit of reservation. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Sullivan. Councillor Lang, did you wish to close if there are no further speakers? Yep. All right, so I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? And against? Councillor Kamada against, and that's carried. It's all good. All right. So that takes us to the Audit and Risk Management Committee. So, Councillor Mofflin, did you want to move that first item? Second of that one? Councillor Archibald? Councillor Mofflin.
Thank you. And I suppose the reason that I wanted to speak to this item was in regards to the public comment that was made earlier, and particularly picking up on the point, and I must haven't got it verbatim, but the controversy of City of Fremantle finances was the comment that was made. And I suppose, there is that view of some people that the City of Fremantle's finances are in a parlous state, but anyone with a reasonable mind reading any of the reports that we do receive, and particularly those audit and risk management reports that come through each quarter to this chamber, would see that that's just purely false. What I suppose would like to just put a question to officers around, particularly in regards to transparency, and I think the Audit and Risk Management Committee works well in its current form, but particularly picking up on the Audit Actions Update report, noting that we've got a confidential attachment for that. We don't actually talk to the volume or nature of the findings in the report itself, and maybe it would be an opportunity for us to theme findings that we have and have a number of those and those that have been closed out to be captured there, noting that we do have some that rightfully so need to remain confidential for the security of the organisation and other aspects, but whether we could consider a modification to the report in the future.
Well, that's the director.
Through the chair, we have actually done that in the past and happy to start doing that again. That's not a problem at all.
Could I? Thanks. All right. Well, I will, and thanks to Councillor Mofflin, who is the chair of the Audit and Risk Management Committee, if I'm not mistaken, and for addressing that, because I think it is certainly the Office of the Auditor General holds a very different opinion about our finances than the individuals who make these assertions. So I think I'll go with the OAG and the audit report as a valid source of the truth. Okay, let's put this one to a vote. All those in favour? And that's unanimous. All right. I can't do them on block, can I? I could. All right. We'll kick Councillor Sullivan out for 2.
Just before I do, before you do, and before I leave, when I declared my financial interest in item 5, I didn't give a reason, so I'll give those reasons now. It's because one of the overdue debtors involves a property that adjoins a property that I own, and in addition to that, the genesis of the overdue debt appears to be in relation to or a consequence of a legal dispute that is occurring between the two properties. So for both reasons, I think it's prudent that I declare a financial interest. And in addition to that, I worked out that Councillor Lang has exactly the same financial interest.
Excellent. So we might do 2 and 5 separately.
Just disclosing an interest in the same item for the same reason as Councillor Sullivan put so well. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. You're staying here, Councillor Lang, because that's in relation to 5, not 2. I mean, no, it's fine. They're different items. You don't have an interest in item 2. It's all good. Okay. So I will look for someone to move item 2, the Emerging Issues Report. Councillor Archibald, and a seconder for that one. Councillor Mofflin. Bearing in mind that some of these do have confidential attachments, was there any discussion on item 2? Nope. All right, well, I'll put that one. Councillor Van Dawson, we're on ARMC item number 2, which is the Emerging Issues Report. So I'll put that one to a vote. All those in favour? And that's unanimous. Councillor Lang, you may now want to leave the chamber. Excellent. So I'll get someone to move ARMC number 5. Councillor Mofflin, seconded by Councillor Archibald. Is there any discussion on that item? Okay, I did hear on the grapevine that possibly the issue Councillor Sullivan alluded to is in the process of being resolved. So that would be a hopeful outcome. All right, so we will put that one to a vote as well. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Excellent. Do we still have a bell? We'll bring them back. All right, so that brings us to C240617, the working group update. I'll move that. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Lorva. Did any of the chairs of the various working groups want to give any update? I note that 2029 is not on the list, but it has happened since the agenda went out, so that could also, I think, rightfully be included in here. Councillor Van Dawson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick update. I'm the chair of the City Plan Engagement Working Group. So just a quick update. As outlined in the agenda, we're halfway through the consultation process, which looks like we've got lots of positive responses. Last update we had over 280 submissions, so that's really positive, and we've got another month to go, I believe, until 24th of July. So that's great. Good news on that, and also I understand it was a hot topic at Politics of the Pub last night, so thank you, Mayor Fitzharding, for stepping in for me last night. I was meant to be on the panel there, and I'm very sorry to have to pass on apologies after being unwell this week. But yeah, a topic I'm very passionate about, the future planning of our city. So I'm really excited to get all our submissions back and review the feedback and progress this one along. It's really positive just hearing about the response from last night Politics Pub. So many people showing up and showing an interest in this topic. So really pleasing, and looking forward to next steps. Thank you.
Well, I was happy to substitute, but I think I was a poor substitution. I look forward to when you get to speak about this in more detail. Were there any other updates from chairs or working group members? No. All right, we'll put this on to Councillor Sullivan.
You've dobbed me in.
You've got to queue yourselves up on the thing.
I have to just point out to elected members that we dobbed Councillor Mofflin in as the chair of the Economic Development Strategy because we figured he was the most appropriate councillor in the room. The problem was he wasn't in the room at the time and has not been able to get to the meetings because of work commitments. So we're sorry that we did that to you, and we've rectified that and unfortunately made me chair. The highlight, I guess, of the meetings today, I think, has been the fact that we're getting presentations from external organisations to try and better understand perhaps what their needs are, but also to have those sort of mutual discussions from a City of Fremantle perspective. And I think, like the conversation that was had just about the Chamber of Commerce, the local Chamber of Commerce, the Fremantle one, having conversations with people from the Property Council, people from the Chamber of Commerce and Industry across Perth is a really good advocacy project for us, in addition to the fact that we're getting good information, good intelligence from them. And I know I've certainly learnt some stuff that I will be able to use in an advocacy sense for Fremantle into the future. So I want to thank the staff for organising those. I think that's a really good initiative. And I also think, I imagine, I don't know this for sure, but I imagine those organisations will reflect positively that the city, that a council, a local government is actually doing that. So well done.
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. All right, I'm going to put it to a vote. Yep. All right, I'll put this one to a vote. All those in favour? And that's unanimous. So that is going to take us to C item 18, Statement of Investments. Someone want to speak on this? Councillor Mofflin, you'd like to move it, and seconded by Councillor Williamson Wong. Back to you, Councillor Mofflin.
Thank you, and it's more just a question in regards to the city's investments, and particularly in regards to Judo Bank and our, I suppose, going out of our bounds of which we set ourselves for investment in particular banks. And it would be good, I think, important that because we have got out of those bounds, and noting the comment from staff that we will be heading back in, just to get a comment around that, and particularly would like to be able to understand how we forecast, or are we able to forecast such that we don't end up in that situation in the future, particularly noting that there was a comment in there around year-end cash requirements. I'm not exactly sure what that meant, and how could we kind of look at the balance across all the investments that we have and look to avoid a situation like that in the future.
Good question. Get the director to answer.
Through the chair. So we do on occasion very slightly exceed those thresholds based on timing of maturities. Sometimes it inadvertently occurs because there's a change in interest rate or the amount that is maturing has increased and we're unable to predict that. Judo in particular, we ran that close to the line given it's a green investment and we're getting some good return on a green investment at the moment. So that may have slipped a little bit over, but we'll keep a closer eye on that in the future. But we did do what we could to get as much return as possible from a good green investment, which is sometimes rare.
Councillor Bufflin.
Oh yeah, sorry. Just to clarify, just the point around year-end cash requirements. What does that actually mean?
So what we do, so depending on operational requirements at any given time, we do draw back down on investments, and we may make changes to the amount of cash that we invest based on the amount of cash we require at the end of the year in order to balance the end of the year.
All right, so in this particular instance, we had less of a need for cash, and so we were able to maintain that value in this particular investment. Is that, yeah, yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Archibald.
Yes, could I just ask the percentages that we are investing in the different groups, is that something that we set or is that something that's set by the local government legislation?
Through the chair, that's something that we've set as a council.
Well, I'm just wondering, given your comments about the green investment being quite a productive one, do you think we should review those levels of investment? I mean, it would seem to me these might have been set at a time when, some of the green investments would have been still in their infancy and that they may now be a more mature type of asset. That should we consider revisiting that?
At this point in time, I think it's probably okay. This was a one-off oversight, and we will keep a closer eye on it into the future.
Sorry, through the chair, I wouldn't mind just adding a comment to that. So remember, under our investment policy, we select by product, but also by the rating, Standard & Poor's rating on it as well. So a lot of the green products are generally BBB, maybe BBB+, and we consider them to be a little more risky, so we don't like to plot too much money into them at one time, which is why we use a diversity of products as well. Yep, so we try and spread the risk by not investing a lot in one institution that's green because of their rating.
It would be quite interesting almost to be able to see, though, I guess, the returns by those different tiered investment. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a question of changing our investment policy. I think it is still a prudent investment policy, but whether we're actually seeing any trends in terms of the return on those green investments that do sit in that lower tier, so the return per percentage, if you like, across those tier 1, 2 and 3. So perhaps that's an exercise we could do at some stage. I don't think it's necessarily a regular reporting, but I think if we are trending towards getting returns on those green investments, but they don't move out of that BBB category, it's a consideration we might want to make. Yep. All right. And put that one to a vote. All those in favour? And that's unanimous. All right, so the only remaining item we have, I believe, is a confidential item. We've got no motions to which previous notice has been given, no urgent business and no late items. So I will move that the meeting go behind closed doors to consider the confidential item. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Sullivan. All those in favour? And that's unanimous. All right, so we'll go behind closed doors.